The warrants were made in connection to investigation, quote, allegations of criminal acts last May in an Arizona shopping mall. The YouTube star was reportedly not present in the home when the search happened. The LA Times reporting that multiple weapons were found and taken from the property. The FBI has confirmed that no arrests were made.
Logan Paul, the YouTuber with more than 20 million fans hanging on his every move, is neck deep in a crypto fraud scandal that could wreck his entire career. Both the FBI and SEC are circling, digging into shocking claims of deception and market manipulation that could drag him straight into legal hell. Whistleblowers have leaked confidential files that look more like smoking guns than harmless documents. Insiders say if the truth in these files gets exposed, Logan's carefully polished image as the golden boy of YouTube could shatter into pieces. He's allegedly scrambling behind closed doors to keep this evidence buried, but the walls are closing in fast. The lawsuit with investigative journalist CoffeeZilla has already taken over headlines, putting Logan in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. As of now, no court dates, no official updates, just an eerie silence. But insiders whisper the FBI is quietly building a case in the shadows, and when the curtain finally lifts, it's going to be explosive. It all began back in August 2021, when Logan Paul hyped up his so-called dream project, Crypto Zoo. He pitched it as a groundbreaking blockchain game where players could buy NFT eggs, hatch bizarre creatures, breed them, and make stacks of money. Logan wasn't alone in this pitch either. He pulled in Jake Greenbaum, Eddie Iaz, Danielle Strobel, and E.R. Benoff, tossing $1 million into the pot while pushing it with wild promises of fortune. With his massive influence, Logan didn't just promote Crypto Zoo, he turned it into a frenzy. His fans trusted him completely, pouring in their money, while the NFT hype sent investors into a buying spree. Millions flowed in, and Logan looked like a crypto king ready to revolutionize gaming. But behind all that flashy marketing and glossy videos, there was nothing but smoke and mirrors. Crypto Zoo didn't even work. No eggs hatched, no creatures spawned, and nobody made a single dime. Investors were left staring at broken promises while their money evaporated into...
You told me I couldn't say anything because Eddie was being investigated by the FBI and that was confidential information. It's all over the internet. I've been led on for a year, bro. I've also asked you to audit the contract for the game and see where the money went so many times, and that never happened either. Do you see how this looks?
I see how it looks.
What did you do?
Tried to help to get the project done. That's all I did.
Thin air. What was supposed to be a game turned out to be nothing more than a slick con job. Fans and investors, furious at being played, didn't just walk away quietly. They launched lawsuits accusing Logan of outright fraud, market manipulation, and unjust enrichment. And when the heat turned up, Logan tried to shift the blame onto his team, especially Eddie Ibanez, claiming mismanagement and even pointing fingers at a developer who supposedly fled to Switzerland with the game's code. But nobody was buying his story. Logan kept repeating the same line. I've never scammed anybody. I care deeply about my audience and my brand, but those words rang hollow. His track record in the crypto world told a much darker story. Before Crypto Zoo, Logan was already linked to shady coins. Remember Dink Doink? He hyped it up like crazy, pushing fans to buy for quick gains. But the coin collapsed by 96%, leaving investors devastated. To make things worse, blockchain sleuths discovered an anonymous wallet tied to Logan's public one had bought up Dink Doink before his promotions, cashing out with hundreds of thousands in profit. Now tell me that doesn't look suspicious. Logan Paul built his empire on charisma and influence, but when it comes to crypto, his name is tangled in too many red flags. And with the FBI and SEC now watching his every move, the question is, how long before the truth comes crashing down on him? Let's rewind to the Crypto Zoo fiasco, because even before the fraud allegations started swirling, Logan Paul was already caught in a bold-faced lie. He hyped Crypto Zoo as some handcrafted, custom-built art project, only for fans to discover the unique animal designs were just cheap stock images ripped straight from Adobe stock. That revelation sent outrage spiraling out of control, and the internet turned on Logan with pure fury. That's when investigative powerhouse CoffeeZilla entered the picture. And he didn't just drop an opinion, he launched a whole YouTube series shredding Crypto Zoo to pieces. His videos were sharp, detailed, and absolutely relentless. He flat out called Logan Paul a scammer, branding CryptoZoo as nothing more than a flashy con job wrapped in hype. And this wasn't speculation. CoffeeZilla had been quietly gathering dirt for months, maybe even years, digging up stories from developers, scammed investors, and insiders who saw the chaos unfold firsthand. One of the most explosive moments came from Zach Cool, a major developer tied to the project. In his talks with CoffeeZilla, he revealed why he held on to CryptoZoo's source code, and the truth was nothing like Logan's excuses. CoffeeZilla's reporting painted a grim picture. CryptoZoo showed every sign of market manipulation while failing to deliver even the most basic features. Eggs never hatched, animals never bred, and investors bled out thousands, some even hundreds of thousands, with zero way to cash out. But it gets worse. CoffeeZilla laid out a cast of characters who looked like professional con men hiding in Logan's inner circle. Zach Cool allegedly held the code hostage over unpaid wages. Eddie Ibanez, exposed as faking his credentials and tied to multiple scams. Jake Greenbaum, accused of siphoning off a jaw-dropping $6 million straight from the project. And Logan, he was right there in the middle, trying to hold the whole mess together while pretending nothing was wrong. At first, Logan laughed it off. He uploaded a video blasting CoffeeZilla, accusing him of chasing clout and cash by dragging his name. But Logan underestimated how powerful public outrage could get. The backlash was brutal, and the FBI and SEC started paying close attention. Suddenly, Logan was forced to eat his words, backpedal, and issue a weak apology, promising investors some vague future compensation. But CoffeeZilla wasn't done, not even close. He went straight to the FBI and SEC with a mountain of receipts, leaked chats, private documents, and confidential exchanges that tied CryptoZoo and even Dink Doink into a spiderweb of shady dealings, possible securities fraud, and whispers of money laundering. Once those complaints landed on the desk of federal agents, the floodgates burst open, and Logan, he tried to flip the script again. On June 27, 2024, he fired back with a lawsuit against CoffeeZilla, accusing him of defamation and claiming the videos had tarnished his reputation. He even demanded $75,000 in damages, swearing up and down that he never meant to scam anyone, only to create a legitimate game. But CoffeeZilla didn't blink. He clapped back instantly, filing to move the case to Austin, Texas, and he dropped over 100 pages of text messages and receipts, allegedly showing Logan and his crew plotting behind the scenes. Logan thought he could outmuscle CoffeeZilla, but instead, it looks like he lit the fuse on an even bigger explosion. By the time CoffeeZilla dropped his bombshell evidence in court filings, Logan Paul's empire was already starting to crumble. Fans who once worshipped him were now flooding his socials with anger, demanding answers and refunds. His reputation as a risk-taking entertainer suddenly looked more like the track record of a serial scammer hiding behind clout, and the timing couldn't have been worse. The FBI's quiet investigation had now escalated, with agents reportedly combing through financial trails, anonymous wallets, and suspicious transfers linked to Logan and his crew. Rumors swirled that federal prosecutors were even eyeing possible wire fraud charges, the kind of crimes that can carry serious prison time. This wasn't just internet drama anymore. This was the kind of heat that could ruin a career forever. Behind the scenes, Logan tried desperately to spin the narrative. He posted videos claiming he was the victim of shady business partners, painting himself as a naive creator who just wanted to build something fun. But leaked text messages told a different story. Messages where Logan allegedly strategized about pumping CryptoZoo harder, while investors were already losing faith. Those leaks made him look less like a victim, and more like the mastermind steering a sinking ship. Meanwhile, Eddie Ibanez, the so-called tech genius behind CryptoZoo, was unraveling in public too. Reports exposed that his entire background was riddled with fake credentials, exaggerated connections, and ties to other scams stretching back years.
Logan Paul was so afraid of everyone seeing this that he filed a motion to preserve confidentiality, and then not long after withdrew that motion for some unknown reason.
CoffeeZilla's evidence suggested Logan ignored multiple red flags about Eddie, choosing to push forward because the hype was too profitable to let go. That choice now looked reckless, or calculated. And then there was Jake Greenbaum, the crypto king accused of siphoning $6 million from the project. Investors claimed he cashed out when the hype was at its peak, vanishing with their money, while Logan continued to push glowing promises about CryptoZoo's future. Add in developer Zach Cool's hostage hold on the game's code, and the whole project looked like a circus of greed and betrayal. But here's the real kicker. When CoffeeZilla filed his 100 pages of evidence, screenshots showed Logan allegedly admitting that parts of the project were non-functional long before he ever told his fans. That detail turned outrage into fury, because it implied Logan knowingly kept hyping a product he already knew was broken. The SEC pounced on that angle, opening inquiries into whether Logan's promotions counted as unregistered securities offerings. If the agency officially declares CryptoZoo a security, Logan could be staring down not just civil penalties, but massive financial liabilities, forcing him to cough up millions in restitution. And as if that wasn't enough, whispers of money laundering started to surface, investigators reportedly tracking odd wallet activity connected to Dink Doink and CryptoZoo that looked less like bad luck and more like deliberate cash grabs hidden behind crypto anonymity. If those allegations stick, Logan wouldn't just be fighting angry fans, he'd be fighting the federal government. Still, Logan doubled down, insisting in interviews and statements, "I don't need to scam to make money, I'm already successful." But public trust was gone. Every new defense he gave only sparked more memes, more backlash, and more people digging into his past crypto schemes. CryptoZoo was supposed to be Logan Paul's big win in the crypto space, but now it was looking more like the scandal that could erase everything he built. With the lawsuits piling up, the FBI circling, and CoffeeZilla holding receipts that just won't go away, the question hanging in the air is chilling. Is Logan Paul facing the beginning of his biggest downfall yet? By this stage, Logan Paul looked rattled, like the walls were closing in. In a sudden move, he filed a request to seal CoffeeZilla's court documents, crying that the files contained sensitive material meant only to embarrass and destroy him. Logan claimed the texts were irrelevant to the venue transfer motion, accusing CoffeeZilla of using dirty tactics to smear his name. But here's the real question. What was inside those files? From what insiders leaked, the documents allegedly showed Logan firing off unflattering, heated messages, even taking personal shots at CoffeeZilla.
It was a blockchain project that I created about a year and a half ago. You buy these eggs on the blockchain and you can hatch them into what are called base animals. And then you can breed your base animals with each other.
He reportedly admitted to holding a grudge, plotting to drain his resources instead of focusing on fixing CryptoZoo. That kind of talk made it look less like Logan wanted justice, and more like he wanted revenge. If those messages ever see the light of day, Logan's public image could be obliterated. Fans already doubting his honesty would now see a man driven by spite, not accountability. Logan even argued CoffeeZilla was unfairly targeting him alone instead of the wider CryptoZoo crew. But CoffeeZilla had already laid out receipts with a precise timeline showing his communications with Logan's team and even federal authorities. Every step was documented, and it painted Logan right in the middle of the mess. The trail goes back to October 2022, when CoffeeZilla first reached out to the FBI with intel about CryptoZoo. By October 23rd, he'd filed a whistleblower report with the SEC, alleging Logan and his squad recklessly caused millions in losses. Within days, he got group chats and meeting notes from a confidential source exposing market manipulation, which he promptly handed straight to the feds. By February 2023, the SEC was in contact with CoffeeZilla, digging deeper into his evidence. And by March, Logan Paul himself was summoned by the SEC to answer questions about CryptoZoo, and yes, even his ties to Dink Doink. Fast forward, Logan recently declared the SEC's probe into him had wrapped up, bragging it as a victory, as if he'd been cleared of all wrongdoing. He told fans there was no evidence of fraud, no proof of manipulation. But here's the twist. Analysts say that's spin. The SEC's pullback isn't about Logan being innocent. It's about a policy shift earlier this year under Trump, narrowing crypto probes across the board. Logan's case just got swept under the rug, along with many others. So no, Logan wasn't exonerated. The feds just stopped chasing, at least on paper. But while the SEC tapped out, the FBI stayed silent. And anyone who knows the FBI knows silence isn't mercy, it's strategy. When they go quiet, it usually means they're still working behind the scenes, building a case brick by brick. That's the kind of silence that should terrify Logan Paul. Because let's be real, thousands of small-time investors are still left with worthless NFTs from a game that never even worked. CryptoZoo isn't just a flop, it's accused of being an outright scam. And Logan's still out here living like nothing happened, streaming, selling energy drinks, wrestling in WWE, and teasing flashy new projects. But if the FBI is circling, the party may be over sooner than he thinks. When the FBI moves, they move in silence. And when they strike, it's without warning. Even someone as loud and untouchable as Logan Paul wouldn't be ready for that kind of hit. Just look at Diddy's case. Months of investigation in the shadows, nothing leaked, nothing public, until the evidence was airtight and the arrest sent shockwaves. That's the kind of eerie quiet circling Logan right now, and it's why this story feels far from over. Think Logan's safe because things look calm? Don't count on it. In the ruthless world of crypto, fortunes can skyrocket overnight, but they can also vanish just as fast. If you're not clean, silence isn't comfort, it's danger. And if the FBI really is circling CryptoZoo, Logan might just be at the start of his biggest nightmare. It's wild to think where he came from. Logan Paul was once the perfect case study in turning internet fame into a multi-million-dollar empire. From viral YouTube stunts to the boxing ring, from his Prime brand to mainstream investments, he seemed unstoppable, stacking followers and millions in revenue like it was nothing. But here's the ugly truth. That empire wasn't built on accountability. Logan dove headfirst into shady crypto projects, treating the trust of his fans like chips on a casino table. CryptoZoo was supposed to be his crown jewel, but instead, it became the perfect example of what happens when greed trumps transparency. And when the whole thing collapsed, it wasn't just wallets that got drained, it was the faith of thousands of supporters who once saw him as more than just a creator. When someone with Logan's influence gambles with his audience's trust for a quick payday, the fallout isn't just financial, it's personal. That bond between fan and idol cracks, and once it's broken, no amount of apologies can glue it back together. Because at the end of the day, no matter how big the brand or how many fans you've got, one dirty misstep can erase it all in the public's eyes. Which raises the real question, can Logan Paul actually win back the trust he's lost? Or should fans even give him that chance? The lawsuits keep stacking higher, but for many, the verdict is already in. Logan's image is tainted, and no court ruling can fix broken faith. But what about you? Do you still believe in Logan Paul? Or is this the beginning of the end for him? Make sure you hit that like button, smash subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this saga is just heating up, and you won't want to miss the next twist.